Yes, welcome back to GarageBand Weekly for yet another week here on Studio Live today. This is our live weekly dose of all the GarageBand news, views, and topics from around the interwebs. But if it's your first time here, my name is Pete, and this is Studio Live today, where my goal is to help you create, record, and release your best music. And one of my favorite platforms is GarageBand. Whether you're on your Mac, whether you're on your iPhone, your iPad, it doesn't matter. GarageBand is free, it's accessible, and it's actually super powerful. Don't let anybody tell you that GarageBand isn't super powerful. It probably means they just haven't used it for about 10 years. Anyway, what are we talking about on the show? Well, we got some big news. A brand new iPhone has been announced and will be available in just a few days' time. Super exciting. We're going to talk about some more predictions of 2020. What will Apple be doing? What other new gear is coming out? My tip of the week, I'm talking about sharing again because I'm continuing to get lots of questions about sharing GarageBand projects. And in my plugin of the week, we got something brand new from our friends at Klevgrand this week. So we'll be chatting briefly about that one. But let's dive in with the news and views from the last week. So the big news, let's not bury that lead. It is the brand new iPhone SE has been announced and it is available to pre-order right now. Now, I did a full video on this one, so you can check out that video. You can also go over to studiolivetoday.com/iPhone. That's my complete iPhone guide, and that has some cool things over there, which I'll show you towards the end of the show, including comparison charts and a bunch of other information that you need to know if you're in the market for buying an iPhone. And what is the new iPhone SE all about? So if you remember, the iPhone SE original version was like an iPhone 5 with the guts of an iPhone 6S. So what Apple have done this time is something similar. It is the iPhone 8 body with the insides of an iPhone 11, which is pretty cool. So you get the Bionic, the A13 Bionic chip. You get 3 gigabytes of RAM, so almost as much as the iPhone 11, but you get it all within an iPhone 8 case. So you don't get the 3 cameras and the crazy Face ID and the frankly quite stupid notch. You get a nice screen, but you get the bezels, which I know people are like, oh, that's so 2017 to have bezels on a phone. It just means that little tiny bit on the outside. Anyway, but you get the Touch ID, which I know a lot of people like. You get a pretty decent camera. You can shoot 4K video, 60 frames a second. It's got a lot going for it. And here's the deal. Price tag from $399. So yes, they have indeed kept the price under $400 US for the entry level, which has a decent, is it 32 or 64? Now I've blanked. I think it's 64. Yeah, 64 gigabytes of storage. You can then go up to 128 for $449 and up to 256 for $549. Look, I don't work for Apple. I'm not a salesperson, but I just think I've got a funny feeling that this is going to be Apple's best-selling iPhone of 2020, hands down. In the current economic climate, with the current situation of some people perhaps not being in a position to upgrade their phone at all, having a good quality phone for $400 or the equivalent, I think it's £419, I think it's €449, it's $749 here in Australia because our dollar's worth less. They're not worthless, but worth less. Then, yeah, I think it's a pretty strong proposition. So if you are in the market to upgrade, if you're rocking an iPhone 5 or 6 or 7 or 8, the iPhone SE is a pretty good thing. And for me personally, I've got the iPhone XS. I don't like the notch. I don't like the resolution. I don't like the roundy corners. I'm actually significantly tempted to sell this one off and see if I can sell this and get an iPhone SE for around the same price. If I could, I probably would. Let's move on though. So there's not a whole lot else in the way of news this week. So I thought I'd just give a few of my views on some things. So I was watching a really interesting video yesterday, and I'd seen it already, but it's funny how quickly things change. So I've linked it down in the description. It's a video from December 2019, and it's Lexi Savitas, one of my favorite CNET presenters. She does a show called The Apple Core, which you should definitely be watching and checking out if you enjoy your Apple stuff. But she did a what to expect from Apple in 2020 in December 2019. Now, I don't know if you remember December 2019. It feels like about a decade ago, but in December 2019, the world was kind of a bit normal. I mean, we had some pretty bad bushfires here in Australia, but the rest of the world was just ticking along. So the predictions were interesting to hear what came out there. I won't spoil anything. Let's just say that they got the iPhone SE spot on. So yes, that was one prediction that definitely came true. The rest of them, I'll let you check that one out. It's a fun little article, only about 5-6 minute video, worthwhile watching. Next thing, I'm loath to say this, but the new mouse and keyboard support for iOS 13.4 kind of sucks. And I've had more trouble with it than I have enjoyed it. So if you missed the memo, iOS 13.4 introduced new mouse and keyboard and trackpad support. The whole idea being it's going to be really great for Apple's Magic Keyboard with their Magic Trackpad and their magicness, all magic all the time. Now that's great. But I've found that the functionality that I have with my mouse on my iPad now is a lot worse. I can't scroll properly. I can't flick between things. I'm clicking and dragging seems very clunky. The little thing where it pops over a bit seems too sticky. Now, I know I probably haven't been into the settings and played around with it enough, and I need to do that. And I will be doing that this week because, as I always say, instead of complaining, why don't you just actually try and work your way through it and try and get it better? So that's what I'll be doing this week. But I just wanted to let you know that, yeah, if, like me, you're struggling out of the box with the new mouse support, you're not alone. I'm finding that it's a little bit trickier to actually get things happening. So expect more videos on the new mouse cursor stuff and a video that's like how to make the mouse cursor in iOS 13.4 not suck. That's a working title. We'll work on that. Finally, and I kind of alluded to this with the iPhone SE announcement, I want to ask you a question. Do you think that the current situation will mean less people are upgrading their iPhones and iPads, or do you think it might be more? Now, I know that's a weird question, but here's the thing. At the moment, we've got economic uncertainty. We've got world instability across a lot of sectors. I know a lot of people are facing unemployment or the prospect of unemployment. That is going to drive down sales, you would think. But here's the thing. The one thing that we can all hang our hats on right now is the technology we use to communicate. So having a decent iPhone or iPad that you can use with FaceTime, you can collaborate using different apps, you can make sure you've got a reliable connection, that may actually go up in people's value. So what do you think? I'd love to get your feedback on this one. I don't know. I think it'll sort of level out somewhere in the middle. I think Apple are super smart that they're throwing all of their eggs into the iPhone SE basket, because I think a high quality phone without all the bells and whistles, but with still a great processor, great camera, great ability to do all the mobile things for under $400 is going to be a super duper winner. What do you reckon? We've said hello to most of the folks who are here live, but just checking in, saying g'day. We've got Bubba here on board, Desolate Morning. SM Borthwick is here. Martic France is here. Metallion58. Olivier Castillo, hope you're doing well, my friend. Sion has made his way here. Binny Sandu is here, watching live on Facebook. My little Dashi Washi or Doshi Washi, never quite know how to say your name. Left Peg 777, you're here as well. And Jason Robert from Chicago. Chi-Town? Do we call it Chi-Town? I don't know. I asked Gino, one of our other viewers here, if you're allowed to call it Chi-Town. Or is that one of those things like Frisco that you don't ever say to an actual person from San Francisco, because they're like, no, we call San Francisco, or simply the city. I'm like, sorry, my bad. We're coming from Adelaide, and we just call it Radelaide, because we have slightly low self-esteem, apparently. Let's jump in. Let's have a rant, shall we? This is our rant of the week. And that is this. It's not to make sure you clear your throat before you speak on live video, but it is this. Please go easy on yourself. And I'm saying this from someone who doesn't always go easy on himself, because I've had some challenges in the last few weeks, as have we all, but my challenges have been a wee bit different, and that is that I've wanted to do everything, and here's the thing, I've done loads and then felt really bad and guilty when I haven't finished everything. So instead of going, all right, whatever I can get done in this climate is going to be a good thing. And if I can do more than the minimum, that's a great thing. I'm like, no, I have an opportunity here. I need to be doing everything. Is anyone else feeling the same way, where you're like, I've got all of this time and it's unacceptable that I haven't written 3 albums and 14 poems and 17 sonatas? I don't know. But I'm feeling a bit that way. And it's as simple as things like I'm not always up to date on my email. And then I'm like, you know what? Nobody's always up to date on their email. Show me one person who's got an empty inbox all the time. Or I haven't done all the music that I thought I would because I wanted to go and, sit and watch a movie with the kids. That's a good thing, Pete. and yes, I'm talking to me as much as I'm talking to you, that is a good thing. So going easy on yourself, you can have high expectations, you can have high goals, you can have lofty goals, but the thing is, you're not always going to be all the way up here. And sometimes, especially us creative types, we get up inside our own head and we are too hard on ourselves. We are too self-critical, and we're thinking, oh, if I don't do that one thing, that person's going to be mad. If I don't do that one thing, that person's going to be mad. No, be true to yourself. Prioritize the things that you want to do and make sure that you're focusing in on those. But just give yourself a break, honestly. If you're getting things done at this point in time, you're already winning. Like, if you're not just sitting on the couch eating Oreos and watching Netflix 24/7, I think you're winning. And if you're sitting on the couch eating Oreos and watching Netflix 24/7 for a couple of weeks because it's making you feel a bit better, more power to you. Like, you'll come back out of it, out the other side. Don't stress so much. Yeah, and again, I'm not promoting an unhealthy lifestyle. I'm not promoting not to do things or not be goal oriented. But seriously, many of us are far too self-critical. There's enough people, enough random strangers on the internet to be critical. You don't need to be critical of yourself. All right, case closed. But I am interested in what you think of that. Is it just me? Is anyone else feeling the same way right now? I know. Let's jump in. Tip of the week. My tip of the week is around sharing, because I've got a heap of questions from folks in the last week, couple of weeks, couple of months in particular, because everyone's working on these projects and everyone's working on collaboration around sharing. And I've done a heap of videos recently, but I just wanted to break it down again because I know many of you using GarageBand want to know the best and easiest way to share. And in my humble opinion, the easiest way to share GarageBand projects is to zip them up. So compress the file into one zip file, your whole project's in one zip file, and then upload that to Google Drive or Dropbox, send the link to someone else, they download it, they open it, they add their part, and then they do the same. They zip it up as version 2, they send it back via Google Drive or Dropbox, you download it, you open it, you add your stuff, you save it as version 3, and you ping pong that sucker back and forwards. You can delete previous versions if you run out of space, but you ping pong that until you're at version 27 and you've got all your tracks and it's sounding marvelous. Couple of things to keep in mind: GarageBand for Mac and GarageBand for iOS, not compatible. You can send an iOS project to a Mac user, they can open it, they can add changes. As soon as they save it as a Mac project, it's over. It's only going to work in Mac. I know, it sucks. Sorry, I'm just a messenger, but that is the case. There is the ability to share projects live, especially iOS projects. I think you can do the same on Mac. Correct me if I'm wrong, Mac users, but you can share it via iCloud Drive using the People Share option. I don't use this a lot. It is kind of cool because you can both basically use, it's like a shared file. If you've ever used a shared spreadsheet or a shared Word document, kind of like that. So you can both have access to the same file at the same time, which is great until it's not. Until you end up with all these conflicts and all these additional backup save files, because anytime both of you even have that file open at the same time, it's going to get confused and Apple will save out multiple versions of a backup of that file. So yeah, I tend to do it more like a game of tennis as opposed to a game of, what's a game where you grapple together? Wrestling. Wrestling? We're trying to cooperate here, Pete. So it's more like a tennis. You hit the ball back to each other rather than, okay, I'm losing my analogy here because there's no game where you both hold on to the ball at the same time. Not that I can think of. Anyone got arm wrestling? Maybe? Again, all the sports where you're both doing things are like a contact sport and aggressive and stuff. Anyway. Yeah, play it like tennis. Don't play it like fictional sport where you both run around holding the same ball. I've lost the analogy. Yeah, so sharing your project file doesn't have to be hard. Here's the final caveat though. .band project files, whether they are Mac, iPhone or iPad, do not play nicely with any other file system. Apple sees them as a file, as a single project file. Every other system sees them as a folder of files. And it gets super confused and super corrupted if you try and upload that .band project file to your email, to Google Cloud, Google Drive, to OneDrive, to Dropbox. It just don't work. So zip up your files before you send them. Otherwise, you'll be emailing Pete saying, I tried to share this with a friend. The file says it's corrupted. What do I do? And the final thing I'll say about that is that if you're trying to share the actual WAV file, don't forget the iOS version, there is a bug right now where you can't save to files. You have to use OpenIn. So when you're exporting your project, export WAV file, OpenIn, and then save to files. If you go save to files before, it will create this weird zombie file that doesn't work and doesn't do anything. There you go. There's a bit of a tip and a rant all rolled into one. Let's talk plugins, shall we? Because the plugin of the week this week, and I don't usually do this, usually I have a lot more experience with plugins before I throw them out as the plugin of the week. But the plugin of the week for this week is the new plugin called Ting from Klevgrand. Now, I've literally opened this a couple of times and have barely even played with it, but it's a percussion instrument, but it's got some interesting percussion sounds. So as I look here, we've got things like sofa slaps, we've got sticks on edges, we've got big boxes, we've got floor stomps. So it's more of a do-it-yourself percussion, which you might say, can't I do my own percussion if I'm doing it myself percussion? Well, you can. But this is a audio unit plugin, and it's by Klevgrand, so you know it's cool. So let's just turn it up here. Here's some of those sounds. And because it's Klevgrand, really simple interface, but lots of power under the hood, so you can change your panning, you can change your reverb type. There'll be a full review. Of course there will be. Now, it is a paid app, so it's not a freebie, but I'll be reviewing it this week and seeing how we can pull together some cool percussion tracks in our songs using the new Ting from Klevgrand. Reminds me, there's a band here, an Australian band called the Ting Tings. If you know you're Australian, no. Anyway, there's a band called the Ting Tings, and yeah, it reminds me of that. But Ting, like Klevgrand, are very, very literal with some of the things that they do. So the Ting sound that you get from some percussion. What is the price? That is a good question, and this is what a good presenter would have done beforehand. But let's look it up for you. App Store Ting Klevgrand Ting percussion instrument in Klevgrand. It is, looks like it is on sale at the moment. There you go. It's a good thing I looked it up. It is currently the Mac OS or Windows version is $14.99 on sale, and the iPad version is $4.99 US, down from $7.99. So I better do a review before it actually goes back up to its regular price. So there you go, $5 supporting Klevgrand, a very cool creator. Righty dokey. Where are we up to? We are up to here. Yeah, we're at the end. So we're going to talk about our resource of the week. And for our resource of the week, I'm going to be self-indulgent here because right now, excuse me, I did mention it before, but a lot of people are surprisingly looking to upgrade their iPhones and iPad. I mean, it's not super surprising because, again, everyone's got lots of time and people are probably looking at their iPhone or their iPad going, I want something a bit better. So I've got a resource for you. And it is over at studiolivetoday.com/iPhone or studiolivetoday.com/iPad. And in fact, let's show you what they look like. If we bring them up here, there is a website with Goofy McGoofenstein up the top there, playing his guitar and pointing at his iPhone for some reason. But yeah, you can see here we've got under links here. We've got, see, I don't even know my own website. It's right there. Well done, Pete. Really well planned. I'm a professional. We've got the iPad buyer's guide right there, and we've got the iPhone buyer's guide there. There are links down in the description to both of these as well, but I just wanted to show you something that I get asked a lot about, different specs and different things with iPhones and iPads. So if we go to the iPad one first, and you can go to studiolivetoday.com/iPad, so that should be super easy to remember. What we have here is at the top there, we've got the latest recommendation video that you can click on and watch. We've then got my recommended iPads, but the cool thing down here, we've got this, and I've just updated it with the new iPad Pro, even though it's not super new, but this is all of the specs of every iPad, and I've painstakingly gone through and found all the information. Some of it's easy to find, some of it not so easy to find. So if you want to know the connection type, what processor each one of these has, the A12, the A13, the A10, etc. How much RAM? So RAM, the memory, can be really hard to find. So you can see if we go back, the very first iPad had 256 megabytes, went out to the point where we have 6 gigabytes on the latest iPad Pro. The average price, storage size ranges, and all importantly at the end here, I've got the model numbers. So if you are looking and you're trying to work out which iPad you actually have or that you are trying to buy, if you flip it over, look at this. Under the Apple logo, there's little tiny writing with A and then 4 numbers. That will be these model numbers here. Now, I've got the exact same thing over here for the iPhone. So if we go back to the top and we go to the iPhone buyer's guide, And once again, we scroll on down, and I've just updated this one here with the new iPhone SE specs. So because we've got the new iPhone SE, that is now in here as well. You can't see it super well because it is a lot of information, but when you bring it up on your screen, you can zoom around with your fingers or with your mouse or whatever, and you'll actually be able to see here that the iPhone SE, it's got a, I've found an error. See, because it came straight after this one, I've actually got all of the specs for the iPhone 6s Plus for the SE. So, oh no, I haven't. No, I haven't. Thank goodness. I'm like, that's not like me. That's the original iPhone SE, Pete. The iPhone SE second generation. See, I blame Apple. I blame Apple because they name the same product the same name over and over again, and it makes things confusing. The second gen SE, you can see it's got the A13, 2.65 gigahertz hexa-core. That means 6 cores in your processor, 3 gigabytes of RAM, sizes from 64 to 256, price from $359 to $549, and there's the 3 little model numbers that you need to look for if you're looking for the iPhone SE. So I find that really handy, and when I say I find it handy, I legitimately go and look at that on a regular basis, because someone will say, hey, I've got this iPhone, it's got this model number, what is it? And I say, well, I could just give them the link, but I thought it helps me out to go and use my own stuff. So I go and find the link and say, here you go. By the way, here's the guide if you want to find it in the future. Righty dokie. We are nearly at the end of the show. In fact, we are at the end of the show. So I wanted to say a big thank you to those who have been here live on Facebook and YouTube. We had a lot to get through today, so if I missed your question, drop it down in the the comments of the video. While you're down there, if you did get some value out of this one, then you can hit the like button. That tells me I should get up early in the morning and do this show every Monday morning for me, Sunday afternoon if you're in the US and Canada, and Sunday evening if you're in Europe or the UK, and your local time will vary depending where you are in the world. Thanks for being here, folks. Appreciate you, and have a great week. Cheers.